corruption in Kenya begins and ends in parliament. All the laws that have been passed which are oppressing us have been passed in parliament. So the government has been very keen to ensure that they have control of parliament. So that's why they had to make it very difficult for MPs, especially, to be independent. Because then when you're a member of a political party, then they can be able to arm twist the party to blackmail their candidates and then vote for the government bills, especially the ones which are oppressing us. So members of parliament were required to collect 1,000 signatures. Governors were only required to collect 500 signatures. I mean, you look at some of these laws and then you look at Chebukati and you wonder what is going through his head. But we understand that these particular laws were created or were crafted as an entry barrier for people. So I proceeded. I collected my signatures from the good people of Thika constituency. In fact, it was a learning process, because then I've come to understand that Thika is more multi-ethnic than I, because even most of the people who've signed for me are not even people who are originally from here. They're from very many tribes, and all of them are coming to Thika to look for jobs which are evaporating day by day, all because of the bills which are being passed in parliament by the people that we elect. So we elect people who go and pass something called the VAT bill. The VAT bill becomes causes the increased fuel and electricity prices. They hurt our companies. They undermine our investments. By the people, because we are talking about the VAT bill. The first schedule was passed in August 2013, and the mover of that VAT bill was none other than Alice Nganga, elected by the people of Thika. She passed that bill, and that bill is coming to haunt us. Now they are increasing fuel by 10 shillings every month, 10 shillings, and it's your MPs. So you understand that all the corruption begins and ends in parliament. I think you saw a report that MPs were being bribed with 10,000 shillings in the toilets of within the presence of parliament to pass government bills which are oppressing us. Government has never been our friend. I see people watching press conferences of government officials, successful elections, even before the advent of technology. Now, hiding behind technology, they've been able to craft entry barriers for people so that they can pre-rig the elections in advance. So what people will be going to do in Thika, for instance, you'll be going as a formality, because they have already crafted the idea of who they want to be in parliament. They want the most corrupt. It's not by coincidence that it's only the most corrupt people who appear on the ballot. It is premeditated by IEBC. We used to call it independent, but they are now more. We should stop calling it Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. Let's call it Infiltrated Electoral Boundaries Commission, because they've been infiltrated by vested interests. These are corrupt people. Chebukati has outlived his usefulness. Every time Chebukati opens his mouth, he confirms our worst fears. That the space between his ears is empty. So he doesn't make sense when he's talking. He's very arrogant. He's very aloof. I think power has gotten into him so much that he doesn't even view ordinary people as they care or as they matter. So yes, I went there and I couldn't be cleared. And because I was there on the last day, I had to be invalidated. Unlike my colleagues, counterparts who had been given a chance to sort out their papers. And so I was informed of an appeal process where I had to submit an appeal at IEBC, and we were given a hearing date. So it was a very tedious process, because my lawyer had to first write my submissions, and then I had to go take it to IEBC. They stamp it, then I have to take it back to the returning officer for him to serve him. And here is a trick. The returning officer only served me on the day that we were in court. The day we were in Milimani, the day of the hearing. Like, it was literally 2 minutes. That's when he served me. And then it's a script. When you find the dispute resolution committee, it's a bunch of old people who are seated there in front. Don't forget, IEBC, they are very cunning. They hired Milimani law courts to be the venue of the dispute resolution hearings. Now, nobody from the judiciary was part of that particular process. It is all IEBC staff. So you have people who are not qualified as judges or arbitrators overseeing cases, and these are people who are not even skilled in the area of arbitration. They didn't get external people. It was still IEBC commissioners standing there. Some of them don't even have legal knowledge. They don't have the qualifications to be arbitrators, but they've hired Milimani law courts to create a semblance of it being a judicial process. And through this, I'd like to request the kind Chief Justice to stop hiring facilities because they are now using the courts. Courts, we know, are very independent. In fact, our judiciary has been at the forefront defending Kenyans. All the laws which have been passed in parliament, most of them are declared unconstitutional by the courts. So we need to maintain the integrity of the judiciary. Keep it away from these hoodlums called IEBC. So the Chief Justice should stop in future, should halt this particular MOU they have where, and let IEBC use their own facilities. They can use Bomas, they can use anywhere else. They don't have to go, because you have people sitting in the courtroom and they are sitting pretending to be judges, and they are not judges. They are not even qualified to be even arbitrators. And they are sitting there pretending to be judges. You know, you have to maintain the integrity of the courtroom. It's almost like the church. You can't find, even on an ordinary day, somebody just sitting at the pulpit. It's reserved for the preacher or the bishop. So these clowns should not be allowed to be using our courtrooms to propagate their depravity. So I was served there because, and they were okay. They are even telling you, no, you just served, just read it very quickly. They can see you literally being served there, and they tell you, would you like 2 minutes to read it? Just read. So I wasn't even given time even to respond to the affidavit by the returning officer, because it's a script, it's a game. That's how they play it. They're a bunch of thugs. And then it came to the ruling. I explained myself to, there is one called Justice Nganga, and then Irene Masit. Chokers. I thought I was dealing with impeccable people. These people haven't even done anything for this country to even warrant to be appointed in the IEBC. Jokers, a bunch of jokers. And I'm forced to sit in front of them. In fact, I'm very proud of Ekuru Court. He just said his pedigree, he's the one who wrote the Constitution. He cannot then go and sit in front of a bunch of losers pretending to be adjudicators and arbitrators. So anyway, they had prejudged me. They didn't even, the guy gave a speech saying I should have looked at my email. I should have been more keen on my email. Come on, you want me, first of all, you've delayed gazetting us as candidates. We were supposed to be gazetted on May 13th. Now it's May 18th. So we have a window of 9 days to collect 1,000 signatures. And you want us to do all of that, see if we are magicians? You haven't even admitted that you delayed. This IEBC has been a fraud from day one. So they said I should have looked at my email, some sketchy reasons, because there was somebody who was cleared there before, and the returning officer, it was a candidate from Kaiti constituency. The returning officer from Kaiti was there, and he said this candidate was not there on time, but they cleared him. So there is some foul play. You don't know whether these people know each other outside that particular room. I don't want to call it court, because court is not the facility. Court is the people, the institutional memory which is inside. And this wasn't a court. This was a kangaroo court. So yeah, and they dismissed my application, my appeal, and so I've been engaging people, engaging people of the media. It starts small, you know, but even a big forest fire, it starts with a small spark. So the idea here is to show people that IEBC are incompetent, which is true. We can all see what they are doing. We can all see their delays. Every time they are postponing over petty issues. But as long as people understand that we have a group of people who've usurped their mandate, they are no longer independent, they are infiltrated. As long as people understand that, then we can proceed with the conversation. So I'm just sharing my story. Most of the independent candidates in Thika, there were 7 independent candidates. Only 2 were cleared. No, only 3 were cleared. The others are a bit not in a position to have this forum and engagement. So I decided, let me share my experience. I hope I inspire other independent candidates who feel aggrieved around the country to speak. This is our constitution. This is our country. We shouldn't be intimidated by people just who are hiding behind commissions which have been constituted with our taxpayers' money. So I'm hoping to inspire other independent candidates to talk, whether you're in Kwale or Kilifi or Kisumu. If you're an independent candidate and you saw the grave affront to our democracy, then it's time to speak out and let's engage, so that after the elections, because I know IBC is going to run into problems. I know they are going to mess up. I know they are gonna screw something up. So after the elections, then people will see, oh, they will be able to connect. Oh, and this guy had said something. This guy had said something. This guy had noted about the corruption in IEBC. And then now we can have now a sober conversation. And I told you it will be both sides of the political divide. Yes. You can see the reason why I was invalidated. Over technical issues, nonsensical issues. When you tell me I had a PDF instead of an Excel, this technology did not exist way before Kenya. Kenya was there before Excel was created. So using it as an entry barrier, so that because you want me to do your work, because you want me to write names to make it easier for you, because you're not being able to pay staff to come and verify signatures, because there should be 100 people paid there. But you want me to do your work, and when I don't do your work, now you penalize me. This is unfortunate. The other document I wanted to show you was this is now the documents we were signing signatures at. And they had to get to 1,000. And to be on the safe side, you had to do even more. So you can see all of these are signatures done by good people. So we had met all the qualifications, whatever they wanted. You can see here from 1, you fill it to 1,000. And then you also request for another one for, just to be on the safe side, in case one doesn't meet the criteria. So all of these are new rules and requirements which were passed last minute, which were targeted at independent candidates, maybe presidential candidates. I don't know. It's funny. You even create suspicion, because probably if you look at the candidates from the major dominant parties, if you can call them like that, probably they had a better chance of winning. So everyone is wondering, why are you reacting to a mosquito bite with a hammer? Yeah, where are you reacting to a mosquito bite with a hammer? So I had, if you look at, this was my appeal. In the dispute resolution chamber. Yeah. You had to serve them, and now this was where I was serving the returning officer. So it's a very tedious process. Yeah. Very, very cumbersome process, but we still did it nonetheless, because we thought that we are dealing with mature people. we turned out we are dealing with thugs. These are crooks, people who are pre-stealing the election and hiding behind donors. I see UNDP is funding IBC very much. Most of the seminars are coming from UNDP funded, and they are hiding behind donors, hiding behind their names, pretending to be people of good conscience. But they are late. They've delayed everything, and so just the residents and Kenyans at large have to be very alert to people who are usurping their will and undermining our democracy. In 2010, I was a member of, I was vying as member of parliament with Safina Party. And mostly you find that you are scripted and you have to be told, every media interview has to be about the party. Every campaign material has to have prominent party colors. And if you look even the billboards which are here, you will find they are almost promoting the party leader more than even the candidates themselves. So it's good because you might benefit from media exposure, which they have more resources to execute. But then now when it comes to parliament and being within the voting times, then you have to toe the line, and if you don't toe the line, then the law allows for a political party to recall its member in case you don't toe the line. So the future is independent. The independent movement, I want to see it grow, and there has to be a correction. When we talk about independent, we don't mean the people who failed the nominations in UDA, and then, or you failed the nominations in Jubilee, and then you come now to be independent. Those are what we call political party rejects, who are undermining the spirit of the independent movement. They have nothing new to offer, because I think in Thika, our current MP is independent, outgoing MP, but he had failed the nominations in UDA. But so when he got to parliament, immediately he got to parliament, he reverted back to status quo. He reverted back to factory settings. So he was just voting with government, voting for government bills. The last time I saw him very vocal, supporting BBI and everything. So those are not the independent candidates that we want. Those are not. The independent has to be somebody who is independent in mind, body, soul. Somebody who is not subservient. Somebody who is not going there to look for tenders. Because when you're looking for tenders, when you own machinery, when you're looking for tenders in government, then it becomes you are hamstrung. You can't be able to criticize the same government who you are chasing for jobs. So you need independent people who don't have any vested interests, people who don't have any overlapping interests. That's the spirit of the independent movement. The people, the framers of our constitution, that's what they meant. They didn't mean political party rejects. This particular period, we were joining politics because of the dilapidated state of our town. Things are not going well in our town. It's one of the towns where we can call them burakus, lined up early in the morning to vote for their favorite president. But the results, or what we can say, the benefits have not been commensurate. We are seeing closures of industries. We are seeing rising insecurity. Street lights don't work. The Wasco has been cannibalized by tenderpreneurs, and they are building, they were supposed to build a sewage system, a dam. All that money has been pilfered by the Wasco members, and we can see the strain. I was shocked when I went to Makongeni, which used to be a fairly decent middle-class urban settlement. And people there, they've normalized people going with mitungi or maji. So vending there with mkokoteni is a big business. And perhaps that's how people are creating jobs for vendors of water, because you can't be able to provide water. Yeah, so that was the inspiration. We wanted to make Thika better because the way Thika is going is terrible. I was in Eldoret over the weekend, and it's a clean town. Uh, you can see it's black. You can't see hawkers in the streets. It's possible. I don't know, but these hawkers who come to Thika town. I was told they normally bribe the MCA. So the MCA knows how much he gets per hawker. And then the MCA, it's almost like they are holding hostage the governor. Because if the governor then doesn't toe the line, then these guys can impeach you. So you see, it's a toxic dichotomy to say. People, we have bandits overseeing bandits because even the governors are the biggest crooks. We are having governors here, they haven't done anything. You saw Thika, the main road had been closed for 2 months because of fixing a small pipe. And we've normalized this, we've come to accept it as our way of life. But it needs people to stay and stand and say, no, this is wrong, enough is enough, which is why we were buying. So I'm not a coward. Those people who are saying that I hadn't met, I don't know, come on. We, especially the young generation, have to be the ones to liberate our town and our country from the vagabonds who are ending up in our ballot papers. And we can't do it by heckling on WhatsApp groups or heckling or yapping in bars. There has to be a system, there has to be a coordinated activism process. We have to take over our lobby groups. We have, like now, the defunct Thika Chamber of Commerce. The guy who is there is old now. Retire, please. You've outlived your usefulness. We need young people in our lobby groups who are making strategic interventions so that we speak on behalf of our town. Let me give some historical context. Every successive government has had an axe to grind with Thika town. From Nairobi, they are able to see how much revenues we are raising or how much our companies are paying taxes. So it started in the 90s. In the 90s, there was a premeditated scheme to kill our textile industries. And we had very many companies, Thika Cloth Mills, United Textile Industries, KTM. KTM also had a very big football team back in the day. And by that year, Parliament then liberalized or passed the law. Most of these laws used to be snacking with the budget. And they allowed importers to import second-hand clothes, which is mtumba. I think there's a presidential candidate who mentioned something of the sort. It is the right conversation. I just don't know whether he's going to see it through because Raila has been in government before. I saw Mukisa Kitui saying something of the sort. Mukisa Kitui has been Minister of Trade for 10 years. And he was always yapping about ease of doing business and whatever. If he was Minister of Trade, he should have been dealing with Mitumba back then, not now. Hyping the masses for cheap points. But anyway, so our textile industry has collapsed in one fell swoop because of one law which was passed in Parliament by people we have elected. Secondly, we had tire retreaders in Thika. They used to retread tires and whatnot, and they would create jobs and employment and opportunities. Then they liberalized the importation of second-hand tires or used tires or whatever tires. And that has killed, to date, I don't think there's even a tire manufacturer because the last one was Yana by Samia Group and they even shut down themselves. So all our tires are imports and these were industries which were creating a lot of employment. If we come to something like vehicles, KVM was employing over 1,000 people. And then they passed a law which allowed people to import second-hand vehicles. And with one fell swoop, KVM collapsed. In the 90s, it collapsed. There was a time nothing was happening in KVM. All the machines grind to a halt. If you look at Castle Brewing is was a very strategic investor for Thika. If you know the history of Thika, you know that the sewage system on that side of Castle, all the way to Kangoke, was done by Castle Brewing. It was one of the biggest foreign investments we've seen in a long time. And they passed a law halting, because it was sponsored by the competitors of Castle. They passed a law halting the importation of grain and barley, which are the raw materials the Castle were using. Now, Castle could not find the same products locally because their competitor, who was EABL, had bought all the wheat, all the grain, and all the barley in the market. So Castle closed. Another 1,000 jobs have gone. If all our problems begin and end in Parliament, and we just needed somebody to go and look at that system and disrupt it. Because let me tell you something. Do you know right now, for some weird reason, all the clothes which are being sold in our exhibitions, they come from Uganda. So our dealers here who have exhibitions, even here in Thika, they get into buses, they drive to Uganda, and then bring stock here back in Kenya. Yet the same clothes have passed through the port of Mombasa. So our problem has been the tax regime. The tax regime is what has made us wear mutumba. Because if you go right now to America, you get into a store, whichever big store, whatever, Walmart or whatever, and you're buying just a pair of jeans. You will see they are made in Kenya. And they've been made here in the EPZ. Now, why are those affordable jeans? They just go to America to brand. They're going to put Polo, or they're going to do Levi Strauss or whatever. They just go to, but they've been made in Kenya. Been made in EPZ. So why can't we wear the same? Because of our taxes. Because if these were to get into the market, then they would be very expensive. So we needed definite, and we needed very concise and representative, MPs, people who would put that into context, so that when Humphrey Kariuki's company is being raided here by DCI Kenoti, we needed somebody in Parliament to speak. But we cannot have somebody who will speak in Parliament when the same person has machinery and is trying to get tenders from Kenya Power. We can't have people who will speak against the escalating price of fuel when we are having an MP, I think it's Dindinyoro, who is one of the largest individual shareholders of Kenya Power. We needed that. So we are telling Kenyans that the more you elect these people masquerading as businessmen with overlapping conflicts of interest, that's where they will never pass laws that will be detrimental to their self-interest. Humphrey Kariuki was shut down over here for no good reason, because he has won all the court cases ever since. But the company is shut down, jobs are gone, he will never come back. We don't know what he'll do with the facility. Probably he'll sell it to somebody else to, it's just idle. But we can't have government which is deliberately destroying enterprises which are creating jobs. And Thika has been the primary victim. Now most of the companies are moving from Thika, now they are going to Tatu City. Tatu City started just 10 years ago. It probably, within the next 5 years, it will have more industries than Thika. And Thika was the Birmingham of Kenya. It used to be the pride of the country. Everyone wanted to come to Thika, and that's why we have a very cosmopolitan population. And all the death of our companies and our industries, including coffee and tea, which have employed very many people who live in this constituency, all of them have begin and end in Parliament. And the more people continue taking elections as if it's a passive activity. People think elections is a joke. No, and the young people need to understand that their parents and the people of the older generation have caused them to be where they are. You're jobless, you're educated, you're jobless. You are told once you get a degree, you'll get a job. There's no jobs coming. But then your parents are telling you, let's vote for this guy because he recites Kikuyu idioms, or he can dance in church, or he can spew insults. So the young people especially have to depart from the mindset of their parents, who have taken this very serious process as a joke. They've been electing clowns, hoodlums, and now they are surprised when we are where we are. So the young people, especially, I'm speaking to the young people. you have to, first of all, petition your parents, ask them why they vote for clowns all the time. We are challenging even the media yourselves. You go to every ward and you want to see candidates, you want to see debates from MCA level to MP level to governor level. You do them live, you host debates. We want to petition, we want to question all these representatives. What's their agenda? Because you can't tell me your agenda is just there. You're saying at me nikipewa kazi nitafanya. No, you have to tell us what you want to do. We have to see it, and then we'll hold you accountable once you get into office. That is the kind of representation we need in Thika. What we've been electing are people who are serving other interests, their own personal interests, their own business interests. And it's unfortunate, and we have to take elections seriously. Yes, especially I'm banking on the young people who don't have this pettiness. And young, I mean 40 and below. They don't have the pettiness that is prevalent amongst the older generation. They were very keen. I could tell by the questions they were submitting in my social media pages, on my emails. They were very keen to know how I'm going to execute my pledges and my agenda. They were super keen on that. They were keen on how it would converge with their current state, which is joblessness. And we were having animated discussions with them. So I have faith in the young people that they will save Thika from the monster that it's become. Then we have also the lessons that I've learned also for Thika is cosmopolitan. More than people believe or imagine. I'm starting to doubt some of the statistics that come from KNBS, because Thika is more cosmopolitan than you would imagine. And having now that diverse pool of population, then we can be able to engage them, not based on tribal or ethnocentric biases, but then we are talking about policies, we're talking about objectives, we're talking about aspirations. That has been lacking in the past, because mostly people were huddled based on their tribal biases. They were huddled based on, and you see Thika is a very weird town. People huddle based on, oh, I'm from Nyeri, oh, I'm from Muranga, and then they huddle together. And then at some point it was very dangerous, because you'd open a business and then people would just sit down and conspire to boycott your business. And so it has been a self-defeatist exercise, because we're having people going all the way to Nairobi to procure goods and services which are available in the town. But this is self-hate. Self-hate is a neo-colonial construct, where you are taught and told that anything coming out of Thika is bad, and you're brainwashed to believe that everything good has to come from Nairobi. Self-hate has been propagated by people here, who then and now they encourage even the investors who are coming here. They already have a bad perception of Thika, so you'll never see somebody making a good investment in Thika, because they know ni watu wa Thika, hata hawasupportingi watu, so why am I investing something good in them? Why am I opening a nice shop or a nice whatever? Because at the end of the day, I know there are people who go get haircuts and go to do their nails in Nairobi. Not that there's nobody who can do nails. I know somebody who cannot buy a birthday cake from Thika. We have all the stores which make cakes and whatever, but they have to go to, because it's a self-hate culture. It's a construct propagated, and it's a colonial construct, because the colonialists use it on a national scale. So they tell you your companies are bad, which is why you see EABL, the Diageo MD Global, has been hosted in State House, but our local, Keroche and they've never been hosted in State House. It's a self-hate construct, and it's colonial, and people don't know when they're veering to that. So you are there, you've opened your store there, you don't know that people are ganging up and grouping against you. You have the money, but you're still taking it to another constituency, and you wonder why your child will not have a job or employment in a few years down the line. And we had a very animated discussion even with your team. Your team does production, you have all the facilities, but people would still be inclined to go to Nairobi. It is self-hate, and it's very prevalent in Thika. It has stalled the town. We used to call in Nyeri, they call it Kamwene. That and that's why you see Nyeri has remained as a rural town, because then the locals would plan to boycott a shop which is not run by somebody not from Nyeri. And you hinder growth when you adopt such primitive mindsets, because there's nothing progressive about that. That is very primitive. And so Thika has been hampered in the growth because we have that old mentality. But the young people who have been educated and exposed, they've used social media. You are seeing what good governance does to other countries. Dubai in the 90s was a shell. It was a desert. Now everyone wants to go to Dubai. All the thieves who are stealing our money head to Dubai with their families and others with their girlfriends to spend their proceeds of crime. It was a desert. Kenya could have been there. Kenya at some point was at par with Thailand and all these Asian tigers, but we were somehow overtaken because of our what can we call it, pedestrian manner which we approach elections and governance and such issues. I think Thika being cosmopolitan, even during the post-election violence, we didn't witness anything because we are cosmopolitan and we want to maintain that brand and identity. We are open to all. So I don't think I need to repeat that because I don't think there is going to be any particular violence. What the rallying call is, if you're going to vote, vote not based on hype. Don't see people twerking on top of twerking to Ben Gedai's music. Don't see people twerking on top of a track and think that it's fun. No, this is a very serious activity, and you have to treat it seriously. Don't see people coming there and with musicians telling you to. First of all, why are you listening to a musician telling you who to vote for? The musicians, some of them, they don't even have the educational experience. Why do you listen? No, look, read through every candidate's manifesto and make the right decision. Don't have other people make it for you. I was very surprised to see the Catholic Archbishop Buheria saying that the young people, all the time is the youth are the ones who are the problem. They don't see themselves as the problem. They're saying the youth are being misled by this candidate who's talking about legalization of marijuana. Come on. The same church has been in bed with the corrupt Jubilee regime. They don't have the moral authority to lecture young people about who to vote for because they're the ones who drove people to Jubilee. And you've seen what Jubilee has done to this country. So the first thing you should be doing as a bishop is to apologize and say we have done wrong and neglected to do right. we asked you, we told you to vote for these people, and these people have done this to our country. Because it's not a secret that the economy is in ruins, is in shambles. Our public debt is soaring high. Inflation, you can see the exchange rate of the dollar, you can see the fuel. It's a crisis waiting to, this is a country on its knees. So the young people, I will not even tell them who to vote for. Just listen to the manifesto of each candidate and vote with your conscience. Don't be misled. Everyone is mature. You have all the mental tools. You went to school. You have all your mental faculties are perfect. When I was collecting signatures, I was perturbed by the high number of university graduates who are jobless today. And not from just national universities, they are jobless. And I would engage some of them, in my small errands. And to see somebody who has a university degree running small errands, I mean, that's the biggest pain I've ever felt. They are volunteering, like, let me do this, let me help you write your signatures, let me help you do this. And this is somebody who is even more educated than I am. I feel pain. And it cannot be business as usual when we have such a large cluster. We have to do something, but of course, the beginning is we have to start the conversation on disbanding IEBC for usurping and undermining our democracy. And yeah, it's, vote. I wouldn't personally. I don't think I'll vote myself because I don't trust these IEBC guys. The way they've been shifting goalposts regarding the voters' roll, the final one. They've just been saying, well, they haven't shown us any evidence that they've even cleaned up. They're just saying, oh, we've cleaned up, we've removed the dead voters from the roll. And I'm thinking, come on, man, you have to be more convincing. So I don't know whether I'm going to vote myself. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to vote. But those who are going to vote, especially the most important, I had a speech from Mother Karua, very important, very poignant. She was saying, don't focus on the State House presidency. Utaendelea kuumia your favorite candidate akiwa State House. So start with the MCA, then go to the governor, then go to the MP. Those 3 seats are extremely crucial. And unfortunately, very many people don't even know right now who they are voting for MCA. Now it's upon you as members of the media to coordinate for debates. They don't have to be very spectacular. If you want, I can help you. I can facilitate you if you're willing. You host debates with MCAs. Let them come and let them sell their agenda. Then the MPs themselves, so that people make informed decisions. And that's all. And the Thika people, especially the young people, you have a difficult task to undo the damage that was inflicted by your elders. Your elders have deliberately led you to this mess. That's why you're jobless. That's why our town is dilapidated. That's why we have hawkers outside shops which are paying tax, and the hawkers are not paying tax. And there's nothing noble in glorifying that. And politicians are afraid of speaking about that. Oh, I'm going to lose votes. No, that's rubbish. You have hawkers outside a store. The store has paid the licenses, they've paid the taxes, and then a hawker comes here, he hasn't paid anything, and he's intercepting your clients. That's rubbish. And if other politicians don't want to talk about it, I will. And I will say something has to change, and the voters, is up to you. Is up to the county government to create a place for hawkers if they want to sell their wares. But it cannot be in conflict with those people who are in town. They've made now Thika Town lose value. Now if you go to Thika, we used to have nice shops, nice supermarkets in town. Now you just exhibitions, because who else can afford? Why would I waste my time, go open a shop in Thika Town, and then hawkers just come outside there? I just shut down and go somewhere else, go to another town. So the voters, it's your responsibility, and I am addressing the young voters. It's your responsibility to undo the damage inflicted by your elders. Your elders have been listening to Ben Githai telling them who to vote for. And Ben Githai has not created jobs for them in return. So the young people, you have a big on your shoulders. You have a great responsibility, and I hope that you rise to the occasion and change the narratives in your WhatsApp groups, in your whatever groups, chamas and whatever. Change the narrative. Start investigating and interrogating every candidate and their agenda. And if you note some inconsistency between what they're saying, then you know that's not the right person. And focus on MCAs, governor, and MP. Those are very important seats. Forget about. Don't be obsessed with the presidency, because chances are, my thinking, chances are, because this country, the debt ceiling, everything is just going offshore. And our country is controlled by foreigners, the ones who have loaned us the money. So chances are there might be a handshake. So you're killing yourself over this candidate or this other candidate, but then there's a handshake. So what will you do? Yeah, you've been there promoting this candidate like if it's a life and death situation, where then boop, handshake. So focus, forget, and don't vote 6-piece. Anyone telling you to vote for 6-piece, That's a clown. Anyone telling you do this, that's a clown. We don't need clowns in our election telling us to vote 6 piece. We have done it. People have done it before. We've seen the how what the damage it has inflicted to our economy. So don't vote 6 piece. Vote for candidates, vet them, interrogate them, and I hope the media will convene debates. I would be more than happy to even attend them and ask my questions. So the onus is on you. And don't forget, we are starting the conversation to disband IEBC. I think it's a body which has outlived its usefulness, and they are no longer the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. They are the infiltrated Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Yeah, thank you.